Welcome to another TV trivia video on Patreon. This is Tim.
And this is Paul. How's it going, eh? Once again, wearing a Marvel t-shirt to a DC opera.
So this time, my question meter is running on E. There's nothing in the tank right now, but Paul came up with some questions. So this time he's going to quiz me.
Yes, well, and they're questions that kind of, strangely enough, rotate around like Hogan's heroes in at least a couple of different ways.
Okay.
But it begins with something near and dear to my heart, which is the act of directing sitcoms in this case.
Okay.
So we begin with Jerry Paris. Jerry Paris plays Rob and Laura Petrie's dentist neighbor on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also a prolific director of TV himself and specialized in sitcoms. In fact, it might be more difficult for some 60s and 70s sitcom fans to name a sitcom on which he didn't direct than it would be to name a few of which he did direct episodes.
Yeah, well, on Dick Van Dyke Show, he started being behind the camera more than he was in front of it as the series went on.
Right, he wound up directing more than 80 individual episodes of the Dick Van Dyke Show during his time as Jerry the dentist. What was his last name? I can't seem to remember it. Helper?
Yes.
Right. Yes, his friends called him Hamburger, no doubt. Okay, so here's my first question. For which of the following series did he not direct any episodes?
All right.
A, Happy Days. B, Blansky's Beauties. Had to bring that up. C, Gilligan's Island. And D, The Munsters. Which of these four series did he not direct any episodes of?
Boy. I'm going to say The Munsters.
No, that is incorrect.
Okay.
He directed 3 episodes of The Munsters, about 6 or 7 episodes of Blansky's Beauties, over 250 episodes of Happy Days, and 0 episodes of Gilligan's Island.
Okay.
He never directed a single episode.
Interesting, because I'd watched, the whole series not too long ago, and I never noticed his name in the credits, but I guess I missed it.
The Munsters, you mean?
In The Munsters, yeah.
Yeah, it's only 3 episodes.
Okay.
He was not prolific on that show. Bonus, can you name another sitcom of which he directed some episodes? At least one episode.
Laverne and Shirley?
Yep. Laverne and Shirley would have been allowed. Odd Couple would have been allowed. Let's see, what else did he... He directed 1 episode of That Girl.
Okay.
3 episodes of Love American Style, if that counts as a sitcom for you. A couple of episodes of The Partridge Family. The new Dick Van Dyke Show. He directed a few episodes.
Okay. Well, yeah, Laverne and Shirley seemed like the easy guess because Happy Days and Blansky's Beauties, so he was in that kind of family of shows.
Yeah, he was in the Gary Marshall family, so to speak.
Did he direct any Joni Loves Chachi?
I don't believe so, but he did direct a number of episodes of the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Okay.
Not as many as John Rich did. There's another prolific director.
Oh, my gosh.
Who must have directed half the episodes of All in the Family, I think, at least in the first couple of seasons, the first 3 or 4 seasons, I guess.
Yeah, and I know he did a lot of Gilligan and Brady Bunch.
A lot of Brady Bunch. Right. Okay, so let me see here. Moving over to, well, speaking of the Brady Bunch, let's actually take a detour into Batman momentarily.
Okay.
Okay, actually, not Brady Bunch. Sorry. We're moving over from shifting based on the Gilligan's Island gear here.
Okay.
Which of the following Hollywood personages who made an appearance on Batman also directed episodes of Gilligan's Island? Here we go. A, Jerry Lewis. B, Otto Preminger. C, Roddy McDowall. D, Ida Lupino.
Yeah, Ida Lupino. I knew that
Yep.
one.
Yep. Otto Preminger, as far as I know, never directed a sitcom episode, but that would have been viled by anybody's um, uh, definition. And as far as I know, Roddy McDowall never directed anything. But I was having trouble coming up with someone else who appeared on Batman who could also have been a director. And Jerry Lewis was, directed his own films toward the end of his movie career.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Here's where we get into Hogan's Heroes town. Which of the following Hogan's Heroes regulars made guest appearances on the Dick Van Dyke Show? We're moving back into Jerry Paris territory here.
Okay.
So I'm going to name 4, and it could be one or more than one.
I see.
So at least one of the 4 names I'm going to mention made a guest appearance on Dick Van Dyke, the original with Mary Tyler Moore. So A, Bob Crane. B, John Banner, who played Sergeant Schultz. C, Richard Dawson. D, Cynthia Lynn, who played Fraulein Helga.
Okay, well, I know Dawson did because I remember seeing him as I've been going through the series.
Okay.
Say the other 3 again.
Bob Crane, who played Hogan, of course. John Banner and Cynthia Lynn.
Okay, I think I saw Bob Crane in there somewhere. Was he one of them? Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. It's just those two. It's Richard Dawson, who played a stand-up comedian who appeared on the Alan Brady show and tried to steal Laura away from Rob, or at least
yes.
he was, playing Lothario. And it turns out that Richard Dawson was in fact a stand-up comedian before he went into acting in shows like Hogan's Heroes, and then wound up basically sticking his tongue down women's throats on the Family Feud.
Richard Dawson.
Hello, love. Ah.
Yeah, and then he parodied himself in The Running Man.
Yes, indeed. At least he had a sense of humor about it. And Bob Crane played the... let's see. It was a show an episode in which Rob was putting together a show for the PTA, and Bob Crane played one of the parents who was, going to, I think, play the role of Mark Antony in a Antony and Cleopatra parody they were planning to do for a PTA presentation.
I think that was a fairly early one.
Yeah, either season 1 or 2, not sure which. Okay, speaking of Hogan's Heroes, and here's the bonus question, and then I'll be done. Otto Preminger has a shoestring relationship with Hogan's Heroes by way of his role as an actor on the film that inspired Hogan's Heroes.
Oh.
Can you name the film? I'll give you some choices here.
Okay, please.
Okay. A, 1, 2, 3. B, Kiss Me Stupid. C, Stalag 17. And D,
something else that isn't the answer.
Yeah, D, something else that isn't the answer. Judgment at Nuremberg.
Okay. Well, the obvious choice would be Stalag 17.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't come up with good, decent sounding non-answers. Although 2 of the films, 1, 2, 3, and Kiss Me Stupid, are also directed by Billy Wilder.
Okay.
And 1, 2, 3 also has a post-war East German location. It's a comedy about trying to bring capitalism to East Germany after the war.
I see.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. As usual, I blew it there at the end by not remembering which of the non-answers I was going to give, because I wasn't initially going to give you any names, but I decided to be kind at the last second and give you a choice.
Yeah, well, I had a feeling that the title was Stalag something, but I knew there was such a movie, but I couldn't remember what the number was.
Yes, and Preminger played basically the Colonel Klink role of von Scherbach, although he was much more ruthless and sadistic in the movie than in than was the character that Werner Klemperer played. in Hogan's Heroes. The plot of Stalag 17 is a little bit different as well. The kind of Colonel Hogan character is played by William Holden, is just, kind of a total jerk, like a drip who ends up being a hero. And at one point, he plays pranks on everybody, including other POWs.
Oh, wow.
In the film. And so when somebody who blows up a munitions dump, I believe, gets pegged, somebody fingers the perpetrator. Everybody blames William Holden because they think he's the only person in the camp jerkish enough to actually give away an American who managed to sabotage a Nazi holding. But then he turns out to be heroic in his way. And but you can see how the themes might have been picked up by the Hogan's Heroes creators of members of a concentration, or not a concentration camp, but a POW camp, an American camp in Nazi Germany, are figuring out ways to undercut the Nazis' activities while they're inside, so to speak.
Now, was Stalag 17 a comedy?
More or less. I mean, one review on IMDb puts it rather well when it says, this is not the kind of gung-ho American film that you might have expected in the 1950s, after World War II. It's really, kind of the way, and William Holden plays this kind of character a lot. He plays this kind of character in Bridge Over the River Kwai as well. He's American, but his loyalties are pretty much to nobody except himself. And so, these are POWs who are just kind of trying to get by rather than trying to fight for the American side from within. They don't have that kind of, rod straight gung-ho Americanism that all of the prisoners in Hogan's Heroes have. So it is a comedy, but it's kind of cynical about nationalism, even though the Americans end up being, or Holden ends up being on the right side in the end as far as the war is concerned. It's almost because he's figured out a way to make it profitable for him rather than because it's just the right thing to do.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, I was fairly stumped for some of those.
Well, I just kind of got interested in Jerry Paris and started digging around, finding more information about him. He died pretty young, in his early 60s, after having directed, maybe this was the cause of death. I don't mean to be snide about it, but he directed two Police Academy movies. That might have been what did it. Oh, the quality! I'm crushed by the badness of it all. No, that's not a very nice thing to say. But hilariously enough, he apparently thought of himself as something of a Hitchcock, at least insofar as he liked to appear in his own shows from time to time. So he made at least one uncredited appearance per season on Happy Days. Like he played a heckler one season. And I think he might have played a police officer who shows up at Al's or what was it called? Arnold's. At some point. And he did show up in his Police Academy movies too, also in uncredited roles. So he did his walk-ons. I have to say that when my wife and I watch the Dick Van Dyke Show reruns, which we've been doing pretty relentlessly over the past couple of months, every time he shows up, I cringe a little bit because he's such a turd. On that show, he's so jerky. He's really jerky to Rob in the first season when he complains, or not complains, but just ribs Rob endlessly about how terrible the Alan Brady show is, and just won't leave him alone about it. And he's such a jerk sometimes that it's nice when he occasionally is given a chance to redeem himself, like when he is trying to help Rob through his mania when Rob decides that they brought home the wrong baby from the hospital in one of those flashback episodes. It's they seem to be softening his character somewhat over the first couple of seasons, which is kind of nice to see.
And then he disappears pretty much. I think I'm in season 5, and I think I've only seen him like once in the whole season.
Yeah, hiding behind the camera, no doubt.
Yeah. Okay, so that's trivia for this time, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.